In today's world, it is not uncommon for different sources of information to say that there are powerful people, elites, at the top, and that these people are in control of humanity. And this is often heard from the alternative media, people who are seen as being conspiracy theorists, but even those who are not. These people can just say that those at the top, for example, are in control, call them the bankers or whatever, politicians or presidents, or even the royal family. It can be said that these people have all the power, they're in control. And the average person is then a powerless victim who has no control. And after thinking about this the other day, something I've been thinking about for quite some time, but after thinking about this the other day, I ended up writing an article titled, "Do the elites have all the power?" And this is what I said. If the average person was asked to explain why the world is the way that it is, they could say that it's because of the people at the top. So when it comes to the reason why so many people are struggling to survive and so many resources are in the hands of the few, for example, this will be why. With this in mind, if it wasn't for these people or the different families that have been around for hundreds of years according to some, then the world would be very different. Not only would each individual have their basic needs met at the very least, but the world would be far more harmonious and peaceful. Thus, to put an end to what is going on and for the world to change, there will be one thing that needs to take place. The people at the top will need to be dealt with. Until that happens, the average person will be totally powerless and will have to accept just about whatever happens. Another way of looking at this would be to say that those at the top will be the perpetrators and those at the bottom, so to speak, will be victims. Ultimately, there will be a massive power imbalance, a power imbalance that has a lot in common with a parent-child relationship. Merely thinking about this could cause the average person to feel totally hopeless and helpless. What could come to mind is that their only option is to accept how the world is and/or to do what they can to wake people up. By waking people up, they can believe that they will be able to put an end to what is going on. So, once enough people wake up, it will be possible to directly deal with those who are in control, and for these people to face the consequences of their actions. If they were told that it is not this black and white, and that those at the top don't have all the power, they can end up dismissing this. They could say that this doesn't reflect reality, and that one only needs to look at how many people are struggling to survive right now, while the elites are continuing to thrive, to see how powerless so many people are. This will be what is going on, and what will prove that those at the top have far more power than the average person. The average person will be like a sheep that is at the whim of the sheepdog when it comes to how they live their life. If at this point it was put forward that they, along with their fellow human beings, are not just observers of reality, and that they are also co-creators of it, this could also be dismissed. This is likely to show that they are strongly identified with their mind, the part of them, along with their eyes, that will create the impression that they are passively observing what is going on out there. By being this way, they, along with their fellow citizens who are at the bottom, will have very little control over their life and what takes place on the earth, and what does take place will be a consequence of what the elites are doing. This view, the view that they are powerless, is also likely to be supported by the society that they live in. Still, what if they, along with their fellow citizens who are at the bottom, are not powerless victims and are actually helping to sustain the very reality that is enslaving them? If one is strongly identified with their mind's sense of separation and believes that they are simply observing reality, then of course they won't be able to accept this. But if they were to realize that their own consciousness, along with everyone else's, has an impact on their life and what takes place on the planet as a whole, it would be very different. This will mean that what is taking place inside them, so their thoughts, emotions, feelings and beliefs, is not just held inside them and that's the end of it. It is always shaping their external reality. One way for one to understand this will be for them to imagine that the world they live in is a house that they don't like. It will then seem as though this house just exists and there is nothing that they can do about it. In reality, they, along with their fellow citizens, will be holding this house up without knowing it. If their own consciousness was to radically change, along with the consciousness of many others, the house would end up falling down. There will be a number of things that will make it hard for them and their fellow citizens to see this. As has already been said, there will be their extroverted mind, along with their eyes, that sees itself as a powerless observer of reality, and they will live in a society that is a manifestation of this viewpoint, something that can be seen as a manifestation of ego consciousness. Also, they will have a brain that represses pain, and once it has been repressed, their conscious mind will forget all about it. This pain won't just lie dormant in their unconscious mind though. It will play a part in what they do and don't experience, and it will feed into the collective consciousness and thus have an impact on what happens on the planet as a whole. What this illustrates is that while their mind will deceive them, and the society that they live in will tell them, in one way or another, that they are a powerless victim, this is not the truth. Beyond the physical form that they take, they are made up of vibrating energy. This means that what is taking place inside them is literally co-creating their life, and together with their fellow human beings, they are co-creating what takes place on the planet. On one level then, everything is solid and their mind will back this up, but on another level, it isn't. Considering this, the only reason that the elites have so much control is that so many people have unknowingly given it to them. By forgetting who they are and how powerful they are, it has led to the creation of a world where the few rule the many. Thanks to the current reality that a large part of humanity is largely manifested unconsciously, the elites do have a lot of control, but as soon as enough people wake up and decide to create a different story, this will change. A big part of what allows the elite to stay in control then is for them to maintain the illusion that they have absolute control and that the average person is powerless. Perhaps this is something that you resonate with, perhaps it's something you haven't heard before, but if this is the truth, then what it does show is how much power the average person does have, not only to create their reality, but to create a different planet. And as more people do the work on themselves then and change their own consciousness, then the consciousness of the planet will change, and what is taking place at a physical level will then change. And this shows how much of an effect each and every one of us can have when it comes to creating a very different experience on this earth. If you would like to find out more about the services that I offer, please go to www.oliverjrcooper.co.uk or email me at info@oliverjrcooper.co.uk, and I'm looking forward to assisting you on your journey.